We are at Blacksea 2025, celebrating fireworks in creative resistance. And today we are here with a creative veteran who has spent over 25 years helping businesses thrive through creativity with innovative thinking. He's a founder and executive facilitator and crusher of crushers at Let's Lightbulb. He began his career as a copywriter, as I know, at TBWA, where he worked on campaigns like Energizer Bunny and Taco Bell Chihuahua. He later became a creative director at Saatchi & Saatchi in New York and a global innovation facilitator at Hyper Islands. That's right, helping companies like IKEA and General Mills. Please welcome Tim Leake.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Tim, for being with us. Tim, you have been a speaker at major international events, including Cannes Lions Festival of Creativity. What's your first impression of Georgia and our very own at the Blacksea Festival? How do you like it here, and how is it different from international festivals like everyone knows about, Cannes, right?
Yeah. So far so good. It just started today, so I've only had half of a day to experience the festival so far. But Batumi is just a beautiful place. I got to spend some time yesterday in Tbilisi with the TBC Bank Group and do a workshop there as well. And so it's wonderful to be able to experience the country of Georgia, where I've never been before, and experience the people and the culture a little bit as well. As far as how it's different from something like Cannes Lions, I think it's smaller. So, for instance, I met somebody on the elevator earlier today, and then 2 hours later, I bumped into the same person who knew the person that I was with. And so I think connections are a little easier to make. Uh, Cannes is wonderful because you bump into people in the street, but it's just massive and it's global. And what's fun is this has the same kind of energy, but it's just a lot smaller or more intimate. I won't know as many people here because it's unique to the region, but even just in the small time, it's fun how I'm able to meet different people and make those connections. The role of this kind of festival is more really, I think, to help build creativity and build the industry within the region, because not everybody can go to Cannes. And what is talked about there is at a global scale. So it won't always be unique to the challenges that people have in this region. So I think it's a great opportunity to be able to celebrate the creativity and the companies and the people that are part of the industry here.
Your keynote is titled Collaboration is Killing Creativity, right? And that's a bold statement, as we're often told that we should be collaborative and it is essential for our work. Can you explain why you think that we're doing something wrong, or is it like a spoiler, just a hook for the topic? How do you think we should be collaborating?
Sure. I think it's a little of both. I like to be provocative. Of the talks that I did in Cannes tend to be provocative titles as well. And the truth is always is there's two different things. I think there's a lot of good that comes from collaboration, but I have an even longer list of all the bad things that come from collaboration. And when we think of creativity and ideas, there's an English expression that is too many cooks spoil the broth. That means if too many people get involved, we ruin it. And that's true. And the most ideas thrive with fewer people involved rather than lots of people involved. But at the same time, you need a diversity of thought and a diversity of perspectives, because a single person won't see all of those. So what I'm going to talk about tomorrow is what kind of approach can we use where we keep all the good stuff and get rid of all the bad stuff.
Yeah, so I think you would agree that no great idea has ever been made on a board of directors or a place like that. Like, do you believe that it is also important throughout the collaboration to have creative leadership, to believe in something and to take, someone should take control?
For sure. I think that goes a long way, but I also think that the process that we use for collaboration, we were never taught how to collaborate well. We were taught our craft. So we're taught to write, or we're taught to graphic design, or we're taught strategy, and we get good at those things. but we've never been taught how to collaborate well together. And that's something that I've pivoted my own career into helping people do, is how can we collaborate better? And that's why I'm passionate about the topic. So I think having that strong creative leadership is important, but actually what the mistake that we make is we assume now it's their job. Right, and so we absolve ourselves of responsibility. We say it's their job. And I'm even gonna share an example tomorrow where I had a creative leader that believed in the idea that we were presenting, and as soon as other people, the client, the account team, and everybody started making it worse, he's just like, "Okay, never mind. I'm gonna go focus on this now." He moved to a different I'm not gonna say that tomorrow, but that is what happened. And I think sometimes really senior creative directors or creative leaders, they look for the opportunities and they're overseeing everything. Where the teams, we have to only focus on what are what can we control? We're focused on this project, whether or not it gets good or not. We're stuck with it the whole way. So it's really important.
But I believe team also means that everybody has their own function and they know what they should do for the good of the project. Or like it's not like everybody's doing the same thing a bit and then you get a great work.
I think that's right. One of the tricks that I'll talk about in the presentation is we have a tendency to lose our intention. So we start off with a creative brief and a sense of where we want the work to be, and then we start looking for what's wrong with it or what waters it down, and we actually oftentimes forget to hold up the creative brief as why we were doing this in the first place. We go different directions with it, and somehow that just happens and we forget. And by the time it's not as good anymore, it's too late to get it back to that original state.
And you are also leading a workshop called The Need for Speed, how to get great ideas faster.
Yes.
And you could say that we have this age where we don't take our sweet time to think about projects, to get into the depths, and like the development of technologies also urges us to have results faster. Uh, how do you think it's possible to still get great ideas in this fast-paced economy of advertising?
I think the easiest way to get there is by building the muscles of thinking of ideas quickly. And I believe in taking our sweet time too, except for business reasons we can't. Like that world doesn't exist anymore. It's like saying we want a world where AI isn't there or that social media doesn't exist. Sure, it'd be great to go back to the simpler times, but that's not the world we live in. We have to deliver those ideas quickly. So, since we have to, how do we get there? We build up muscles. Just like when you work out, you do these muscles, and that makes you stronger at being able to do it. Creativity and the speed of coming up with ideas is a muscle that we can exercise. And then the other aspect I'll talk about is the value and the superpower of facilitation, which is a lot of what I do these days. And how can you take a group of people and focus them in the right way so that we're squeezing the most out of them quickly and getting the best outcome quickly. And those two ways I think are the most powerful ways to come up with ideas, really good ideas, not just some ideas, but great ideas fast.
And I think like we sometimes are over romanticizing the old age because I think the advertising industry in the world has always been developing at fast pace, and just retrospective gives us the opportunity to romanticize and think that those were the good old days. But during the good old days, we also had to do things faster, and it's just the pace we have.
There is a balance. I have one of my slides has Grandpa Simpson for the character. It's just like, I feel like that's me sometimes going like, back in my day, this things were good and we took our time and ideas were good. And they're, but I also believe that. I believe that we spent more time on one idea in the past, whereas now every idea has to be spread across so many media channels and gets a smaller budget. So it's very difficult to spend the same amount of or put the same amount of attention across all of that. we might have a great idea that's going to be a TikTok video for a brand, but they have to do 50 more TikTok videos over the next 2 months. So there's no time to make that as good as when all we had to do was make one 60-second video that got all the budget and we had 3 months to do it. But that's not the world we live in.
And now I think that we have much more competition. So the creativity is important because you're not only competing with your competitor products, but like TikTok creators who just want to have fun and they are
And
entertaining.
nobody wants to see ads.
Exactly.
We want to see something good.
Yeah.
That's it.
You believe that creativity and innovative thinking can help solve some business problems, right? And what is, in your opinion, the biggest mistake like creative teams make when they are asked to solve business problems, and vice versa? What are the biggest mistakes the clients make when they are giving tasks to creative teams?
I think in both cases, it's the same answer. I think we think that the job of the creative team is an, an executional role. We think that their job is to execute the creative idea and bring it to life, like it's a craft challenge. So we think that the output of solving the business problem is an ad or some sort of thing that we make. And so creatives hear the challenge and only create ads. Clients give them the challenge and expect ads. And even if sometimes it's a little bit different, maybe sometimes it is a publicity stunt or it's an experiential activation or something, it's still going to get turned into ads or a press release or something. We solve it only through that lens. And I think as we see the media landscape get more complicated and more chaotic, and AI is doing the job of these little ads, that's advertising. The value of solving problems creatively is going to rise higher. And so clients need to let agencies play in that space because they often don't. And the agencies have to bring ideas that are worthy in that space, which is a creative way of thinking about their business that's going to unlock the solution. And that I think that's what's holding people back the most today.
Exactly. I think sometimes we look at agencies as creatives and we are redundant to share our business problems.
Yeah.
And without knowing that, they can just deliver ads, right?
Yeah. I've actually had, and I push back on this a lot, but when I was a creative director and a copywriter, especially when I was a copywriter, you just get the creative brief. I have no idea what the client asked for. And then when I was a creative director, I would usually see both. I would see what the client asked for, the client brief, and then I would see the creative brief. And it always frustrated me because the team internally did not want to share the client brief with the creatives. They said, no, 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 we don't want to confuse them. But this didn't look like this. And when the work would end up not fulfilling the actual brief, it's because the creative team didn't know what it was. We didn't know what the business challenge was that we were trying to solve. And I still see that happening a lot at agencies. We feel like we have to convert what the client said into something else rather than just give it a sharper prism, but still keep the clarity of what the client is looking for. And I I think it's babying the creative teams to say, "Oh, they can't understand that," or they we need to protect them for that business stuff. And I don't think that's helpful in the long term.
And for the last question, what's your message to those who didn't attend this year's festival? Why should they be the first ones in line to buy next year's tickets?
Oh, that's a good question. I think because when you experience something in person, things resonate in a completely different way. So people who watch this video, they'll see the video, it means something. Maybe I said something that made a little bit of sense. But when you see somebody on stage saying something, and then you talk about it with people during the party, and then you meet different people and you make those connections, that cannot be replaced by watching a video summary of it.
Thank you, Tim, for
Thanks very much.
joining us.